Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Clubsport in multiplayer in Asphalt 9. Unfortunately, I'm still only at 3 stars because I had no time to play the car hunt last week, and the drop rates were really bad anyway, so if anything, I would have gotten to 4 stars, which is obviously better than 3 stars, but I was able to get some decent races in this little bit of an underranked car. I was at 2700 rank, and a lot of the cars I was facing were like 3000, 3100. The likes of the ACR and the Acura and the Pininfarina are ones that I saw a lot. Other cars, like the Vencer and the Aranera, are some of the faster ones, and pretty much all the cars that I ran up against were better than me. I mean, the Cayman, at least at this rank, doesn't have the greatest acceleration. Its top speed is not too great at only 203 or so, which is slower than even the maxed out Pininfarina, which I found a lot. And the handling and drifting, none of that seems to be terribly great either at 3 stars. Now, at max, this car is a lot better. Now, I would test it in the multiplayer season, the current one that's going on, Fight Fire with Fire, I think it's called. There, I can test this car and any other car that's in the season, which is like 10 or so, at max, because they're all max free try. The thing is, matchmaking is based on player rating again, and the better cars are not regulated to the higher leagues, meaning that everyone up front is just going to be driving in the Infernos, which are going to absolutely wreck everything. I got into a race with my Cayman, and I was up against like 3 or 4 Infernos. I was up against an Icona and just a bunch of other stuff that I had no chance of going up against, which is kind of sad because I would have loved to test this car at max in that season, the tech rules too. I might still be able to do the tech rules in that season. I'll see how it's able to do against some of these faster cars, especially on tracks where maybe its better agility would allow it to pick up some wins. But the thing is, the Inferno is just a very well-rounded car overall, and so I think on most tracks it would be able to beat the tech rules, even on ones like Osaka or whatever, where the tech rules would maybe have a bit of a better chance than on something like Mountain Poles. Yeah, Mountain Poles was the track that I raced in this car on against all those Infernos. Kind of the worst case scenario for me there. But in Silver League and normal multiplayer, this car is going to do just fine. At least if you have it at 3 stars or above. I don't think if you just have it at 1 or 2 stars, it's going to do very good. 3 stars is even cutting it very close. As you can see throughout these races, I'm having to play extremely well to even stay competitive against some of these cars. Now, I did have a lot of good races in this one, and I'm pleased with how it did for being 3 stars. At max, you would have better agility, better speed, better acceleration, and overall it would just be more competitive against the cars like the Pininfarina and the Acura. Although I still think in a lot of cases, if you run up against a really skilled player in, say, a Vencer or an Aranera on some of the more top speed tracks, this car is not going to do very well against them. But it's going to do really well against most cars if you have it at higher stars. It is one of the better Class C cars after all. It's not the best, it is not a king, but it's pretty high up there. Kind of like, say, the Apex in Class B. So I would say if you had enough time on your hands, this car's car hunt would have been a pretty good one to go for, at least to unlock the car to have it, or if you had it at higher stars like me, to maybe max it out if you're not in the thick of college like I am at this point. You may have noticed that the videos have been a little bit less often recently. Well, that's definitely part of the reason why. As was typical in all my races in Silver League, here we're facing a couple of Pininfarinas as well as an Acura, all of which are above 3000 rank. The thing about these two cars is that they're really not a whole lot faster than this one. I mean, the Pininfarina goes, what, 205, and the Acura 207, or somewhere around there. So if you're able to get ahead of them, although this car doesn't start up as fast, if you're able to get ahead of them around some turns or something like that, they're probably not going to be able to catch up. However, I did find in some races that if you got, say, a Vencer like we have in this race, or an Aranera like we also have in this race, those were some of the tougher ones to beat, and you will see in this race how that is. This race definitely has some better competition than I had previously. We have also got a Gallardo, which is, I guess, the stereotypical, very agile and still sort of fast C-Class car, or at least that's sort of how I've come to know it. You can still get this car even after the car hunt has ended with the key packs, which you can find just with the normal packs to buy. Now, would I recommend to do that? Probably not spending a lot on it because this car really isn't worth spending thousands of tokens on for the chance of getting the key. The time when I would have recommended going for the key for this car was if you're able to play a lot in the car hunt and say you already had this car at a few stars but maybe just not unlocked yet. And so if you max the car through the car hunt, you could then play the car hunt with this car as long as you had it at 5 stars and then get the key for it right there, which is something that I don't think Gameloft has done before. But yeah, that was a way that you could get the key for this car without buying the packs. But that is past now, so if you didn't get it there and you really wanted, packs would be the way to go. But even then, I really don't recommend it. So here we're coming up toward the end of this race with this purple Vencer ahead of us. No wonder he was going so fast. And unfortunately, I tried to do the brake nitro trick a little bit too much at the end. I end up flat spinning against the wall and getting passed at the last second by the Gallardo. Would have been a close second, but instead it turned into a close third. Let me know if that's ever happened to you. I'm sure I'm not the only one. The Inferno event is still going on in Asphalt 9 right now, which you had to have the Infinity unlocked in order to even begin. And since my last video, I have found out that you can get exactly the 85 out of 85 blueprints you need to unlock the Inferno if you 100% the event, which most people are not going to be able to do since you need golden max or at least close to it with some epics on a lot of the cars to be able to get a lot of the number of blueprints in the event. So a lot of you may be wondering, if you are not able to 100% the event, which 99% of players won't be able to, is it worth to spend on packs in order to get the Inferno? Because it isn't a key car, you just get it through blueprints. And I would say for a lot of people it might not be such a great idea, because while the car is very good at max, as we've seen, another accidental 360 there, at lower stars it's just not going to be the same. Now it's going to be fast, but if you already have cars like the Fenner maxed, or the Zenvo, or the Tryon, or any other of those, it's not going to be better than them, and I have heard that the drop rates are very bad too. Now, if you're one of the people that likes to just get all of the cars in the game, yeah, you could probably get it to 1 star after spending a few thousand tokens, but even then, it would just be at 1 star. Now, I know there's a couple of different philosophies of which cars to go for in the game. There are the people that spend a few thousand tokens every event to just get each car at 1 or 2 stars and then have a higher car count, so maybe they can have access to more events in the future or something like that. And then there are the people like me who choose generally to save up the majority of their tokens, not spend them on a lot, and then splurge on those cars which seem to be the most useful. Like, I spent a lot on the Valhalla a while back because I knew that was going to be the new A-Class King, or at least one of them. And although I only got it to 4 stars, this was a pretty crazy race there. I just did a barrel under the bridge, which I did not even mean to, and I was pretty sure I was going to crash, but I got a little sidetracked there. Got the Valhalla to 4 stars, and for example, I 5-starred the Sheeran and 4-starred the Esco. Those would not have been possible if I had spent a few thousand tokens here and there on other cars, like say the Ferraris in the Ferrari update, which I knew were not kings of their classes, and thus, in my perspective, were not as useful to go for. So it all depends on how you look at things, and as this Aranera takes the wrong route at the end, giving us the victory, I'd like to give a quick general review about this car. High-end C-Class car, quite agile at higher stars, not the king, but still fairly competitive. Thank you for watching, please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!